Have you ever watched the future take shape piece by piece, almost like a massive puzzle finally starting to form its picture? That's exactly what's happening right now with the entire roadmap for the next generation of electric vehicles. And today, we finally have new clarity, real details on the R2, the long-awaited R3, and the factories that will shape both of them. The future isn't arriving all at once, but if you know where to look, you can already see the outline. Let's break it all down, because the new information that just came out quietly answers questions people have been asking for months, while raising a few new ones that might change how you think about the company's next chapter. To start, let's talk about the facility at Normal, Illinois, because this plant is no longer just a factory. It's becoming the center of gravity for the company's entire strategy over the next several years. It's the heartbeat for R1, R2, and the commercial delivery vans. With the ongoing 1 million square foot expansion that's already underway, Normal will soon be capable of building up to 215,000 vehicles at full tilt. But what's fascinating is how flexible that capacity is. If demand surges for R2, they can swing heavy in that direction. If the market shifts toward R1 or commercial vans, they can redirect production without rebuilding the entire system. The general assembly layout is being designed to adapt rather than lock into a fixed model strategy. Numbers-wise, the split looks like this: up to about 155,000 R2s annually, around 85,000 R1s, and roughly 65,000 commercial vans. But keep in mind, this isn't a total of 300,000 vehicles. It's a flexible mix, capped at about 215,000. The trick is deciding which mix makes the most sense at any given time. If R2 surges the way many expect, that line could dominate Normal until the Georgia factory comes online. Now, scaling production is never instant. Building a factory is one thing, but ramping a vehicle line is where the real challenge begins. And that's where the new detail about shifts becomes extremely important. The R2 will ramp through 3 full shifts, 1 shift in early 2026, 2 shifts by the end of that same year, and then a full 3-shift around-the-clock schedule by late 2027. When a factory runs 3 shifts, that means vehicles rolling out 24 hours a day. No downtime, no pauses, just continuous output. Hitting the full 155,000-unit annual run rate for R2 requires those 3 shifts, especially with demand expected to explode early. But this aggressive ramp matters even more once you consider the second puzzle piece, Georgia. This is where the entire long-term strategy pivots. The confirmation is now verbal, not just written. The Georgia factory will not begin production until 2028. Construction begins again in the first half of 2026, continues throughout 2027, and Phase 1, the first 200,000 units of annual capacity, goes online in 2028. Phase 2 doubles that to a massive 400,000 vehicle footprint, and here's where it gets even more interesting. The R3 is tied directly to Georgia. This means the compact crossover that generated huge excitement when it was revealed is still 4 years away from deliveries. And yes, that's a long time. The reveal built hype that the current schedule simply can't satisfy. Could a small batch of R3X units be squeezed out of Normal before Georgia is ready? Technically possible, but realistically unlikely. The focus is crystal clear. Get Georgia online, launch R3 there, and scale it properly from day one. Now, let's shift across the ocean for a moment. There's something quietly exciting happening regarding Europe. While the public estimate suggests R2 arrives there in 2027, new comments indicate that initial units may reach Europe as early as late 2026. not large-scale exports, just enough to begin a very controlled introduction. Think of it as a handshake with Europe. A few early deliveries would allow service teams in places like Germany and the Netherlands to get familiar with the vehicle before volumes increase with the Georgia facility's help. Why so cautious? Because service quality has been a challenge in the US, and starting slow in Europe gives them a chance to refine the process before scaling. It's a strategic lesson learned the hard way. Ramp service smarter, not faster. Now, let's talk about something that directly affects pricing: economies of scale. As R2 production rises, the cost to build R1 drops. The estimate is roughly a 34% improvement in cost efficiency on the R1. That's massive. The eventual goal is simple. R2 scale supports R1 profitability. The commercial vans are already contribution margin positive, which helps, but R1 is the puzzle piece that still needs efficiency gains to reach full profitability. Next, an important moment arrives in the second half of 2025. The normal factory will shut down for about 1 month. Originally, this was believed to be for R2 integration, but the new update clarifies it's tied to expanding the paint shop, as well as preparing shared parts lines that R1 and R2 will use at smaller sub-assembly levels. While R2 will have its own motors and many distinct components, some of the smaller battery and part processes will share production resources. After this shutdown, Normal becomes capable of full R2 and R1 integration without compromising output. Another major factor shaping revenue is zero-emission vehicle credits. These credits will continue to play a meaningful role in revenue and margins for years to come. Even European regulatory credits could contribute in the future as exports ramp. Of course, tariffs and supply chain exposure remain constant variables. Even when suppliers are American, the materials used by those suppliers may come from overseas. This tiered supply chain system means exposure to tariffs is almost unavoidable. Despite operating mostly in North America, price adjustments may continue, like the recent increase on the R1S dual-motor large pack. Expect more small adjustments if tariffs expand or raw material costs shift. Now, here's a point many people have been nervous about. Capital. The company does not expect to raise additional capital in the near future. Between existing cash reserves, the Department of Energy loan for factory construction, and the additional funds tied to future positive gross margin quarters, there's enough runway to keep operations, expansion, and infrastructure growth on schedule. But perhaps the most intriguing insight is about customer demand and margin balance. There's a huge wave of buyers aiming for the most affordable configurations, especially the dual-motor standard range. That's where the volume is. On the other hand, the high-margin configurations, like the tri-motor and quad-motor variants, generate the strongest financial results. That's why those variants are emphasized heavily. They help stabilize margins. The challenge is balancing both ends. Provide the accessible options people want, while still leaning on high-margin versions to support financial health. There's even an interesting idea floating around: a single-motor R1. It would be cheaper, lighter, more efficient, and could capture shoppers looking at other entry-level EVs. But the timing is awkward. Launching a single-motor R1 too early risks cannibalizing the future R2 market. Launching it too late makes it less relevant. So while it's an appealing concept, it would have major strategic consequences. Still, there are many smaller options that could enhance margins without sacrificing value. Premium seating configurations, trim-level flexibility, or comfort features people already want. Incremental options can create meaningful financial uplift without overhauling the lineup. And as all of this unfolds, the shift plans, the expansion, the European entry, the Georgia timeline, the R3 delay, the cost improvements, the supply chain challenges, one thing becomes clear: the next few years will shape the company more than the past several combined. 2026 and 2027 are all about expansion. 2028 is about transformation. And everything is pointing toward a future where scale, strategy, and timing finally start moving in one direction. There's a lot more to come. A major earnings update arrives in early May, and that report will likely refine many of these timelines even further. For now, it's fascinating to see the roadmap finally snapping into focus after months of scattered details. Let me know what you think, and we'll keep following the story as it unfolds.